Welcome to this informational webinar, informational session on workplace mentoring and the importance of investing in your people. We are the Start Today apprenticeship team, and we are bringing this webinar and information to you. And you might be wondering why, but with registered apprenticeship programs, our team works with sponsors to build apprenticeships. And one of those components for every apprenticeship program is mentoring. And every apprentice gets a mentor that helps them through their apprenticeship program. And there's been a lot of research and studies to show the powerful and positive impacts of that on the individual and the company itself. And there's a lot of research around the powerful and positive impacts that mentoring has in the workplace. And this month, January, is National Mentoring Month, and we like to highlight apprenticeship programs and the importance that workplace mentoring can have on companies, businesses, apprentices, and also those mentors in the program that are mentoring individuals. So today we wanted to share with you a little bit about what workplace mentoring is, some of the benefits that can be found through developing your own program, and also the Start Today team has developed a mentoring toolkit that includes mentor training that we do want to share with you so that you know it's available at no cost to you. So we'll first start out with a little quiz, 2 truths and a lie. Most people have played this before, but on the screen you'll find a few different statements that we'll read to you, and you can then decide which one you think is false. So the first statement is 23% of employees looking for new jobs said that company culture was the main reason. 92% of employees said they would be more likely to stay with their job if their bosses would show more empathy. And the last statement is 76% of employees who don't feel valued at work sought out job opportunities elsewhere. So think through and think which one you might find not true, or the statement that you think is false. And if you thought the statement was number 1 was false, you would be correct, because the actual stat is that 43% of employees looking for a new job said that culture was the main reason. So why do we ask this? Because it really shows and tells us something really important, is that workplace culture really matters, and it matters more than we might think. And it has an impact on individuals who are working within companies. It can have an impact on employees' growth, performance, even the company's performance itself. And as many as 50% of employees have considered taking a pay cut because of dissatisfaction with their current organization. And many of us can probably think through and think of a time where we left a job, and what was the reason? A lot of times it's because of the work environment or the culture. And that's something to think about. What was your past company like? What's your current company like? And is that a reason why you would stay or you wouldn't? A lot of times people leave for less pay also if they're unsatisfied within their current organization. So, but there's no answer. There's something that can be done about this, and there's ways that companies can create supportive and positive cultures within their businesses and their companies. And one of those ways that we're going to talk to you about today, you can probably guess, is creating a workplace mentoring program. Ashley, yeah. So one easy way to do this, we said, was to create a mentoring program where individuals might want to not only stay, but they love coming to work. It fosters productivity and creativity and job satisfaction. And people love working for companies who have a strong and positive culture within the workplace. So we know that that's true, but what does it really mean, and what is workplace mentoring? And that's something we wanted to share with you today also. Workplace mentoring can be either formal or informal, and it's really a relationship between employees that really fosters growth in the workplace, fosters growth and learning. So we like to talk about the 2 different types of mentoring because it's really important to distinguish between what's informal and really what's more formal. And I think of having a mentor at work, traditionally, that's really been seen as maybe somebody who is older or more experienced giving advice or support or taking somebody who's younger, a new employee under their wing and helping them early on in their careers to help them to succeed. And this is really something that I feel like is common. Does it sound familiar to anybody watching this? Yeah, I think a lot can be said for it too, because a lot of people who are successful can attest to this informal mentoring that happens within the workplace. But as informal mentoring comes from a mentor taking a liking to a mentee or an employee or taking them under their wing, there isn't a lot to be said for making it be more inclusive. It can be selective or exclusive to others, or maybe elitist, where people choose to mentor somebody that they maybe see themselves in, and that doesn't really help to foster that growth of all employees within the company. So that's one of the reasons when we talk about workplace mentoring with companies and businesses that we work with, we talk about the importance or the value of establishing a formal mentoring program. And that really gives all employees the opportunity to participate, and it really gives your company a better chance to grow and foster that learning and growing environment. But formal mentoring programs are established by the company or business that really helps to lead to that growth of employees. It helps to build partnerships or like cross-company collaboration, teams working together, sharing best practices, helps enhance communication. And this is where mentors are actively matched with mentees within the company and helps to establish that working relationship between them. So the company is really actively involved in that mentoring program and helping to establish some of those guidelines, maybe some of those rules, and helps to place or select who's going to be in that mentoring relationship together. So, but is mentoring the same as training? No, it's not really quite the same as training. I think when we think about mentoring, a lot of people think about training, and we hear this conversation a lot when it comes to apprenticeship programs also, because there is a training aspect with an apprenticeship program, but the mentoring can go beyond that. And when that mentor is matched with a new employee or an apprentice, it really is someone to act as their support person through that training. So they feel supported, they feel heard, they can reach out to somebody if they have questions, or if they don't understand something, or if they don't understand a process. Who do they go to talk to? Maybe it's not the trainer for the day, maybe it's their mentor that they're assigned to. And that can really do a lot for the culture of a workplace. And thinking about your own organization or your own workplace right now, some of those things that are like the unwritten rules of the workplace. Maybe what's the dress code? Do employees eat lunch together? Do they take lunch breaks at their desk? Can they eat at their desk? Can they not? Where do people park? Is there certain parking spots that aren't labeled reserved, but actually are reserved for somebody of importance that you don't know about? And a mentor can kind of help you walk through some of those unspoken or unwritten rules of the workplace, or just things to know that are important that can help them feel supported and feel like they are part of that organization or part of that company. So I think about if you had a mentor in some of those places that maybe you left because of culture or because of not feeling part of the team, would have having a mentor helped, or would that have changed the work environment? And yeah, that can really help and be a really powerful impact, and really helps with retention of employees because they feel valued and they feel like they have someone that can support them and walk them through that process. Some of those things that they don't teach you in the one-on-one trainings that they have. So we talked about some of the benefits, but also really breaking it down to really what are the benefits of workplace mentoring. We said they're valuable and important and can have powerful impacts, but really what are those impacts? And there was a recent study done by Forbes that kind of outlined some of these benefits that an organization can have that really helps to improve job satisfaction for employees, retention, because it really focuses on the professional development and personal development of individuals and employees in the company. So speaking of higher retention rates, for mentees or apprentices who were in a mentoring program, 72% of them retained that employment or stayed with that company versus those who weren't a part of a mentoring program. And for mentors, 69% of them stayed with that company. The other thing to think about is some of those benefits of in creating leaders within the company. Talking about job satisfaction, the next one, mentoring programs can correlate to higher pay increases or promotions or moving up within the company. So it really creates that leadership track within a business. And for mentoring programs, those who participate in a program, for mentees, they were 5 times more likely to be promoted, and mentors were 6 times more likely. So it can have a really direct impact on those individuals within that mentoring program. And then just increased engagement and loyalty. I mean, when employees are in an environment where they can be open and they have somebody to support them, they feel valued, and their company is supporting their growth and includes them in something, they're really more likely to be engaged in the work that they do and perform higher for individuals, for companies. So it helps to create that all around buy-in, which we'll talk a little bit more about later also. Anybody think of any other benefits for individuals that it can lead to? Just staying with a company? Is there anything else that can happen?
Safety, it really increases the safety for that. I mean, if I'm thinking of a larger organization that maybe there's heavy equipment or there's equipment that could be dangerous that's around, you know, as a new employee, I would want to be around, maybe have a mentor that's helping to kind of give me direction, so I'm not just stumbling through the process, or which could ideally, or not ideally, but it could hurt me in the process. So I think that safety is a large part of that, and then just creating that comfort and making that person comfortable and at ease while they're at their employment.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a huge one too, because I think for a lot of companies, safety is a high priority, especially for the work that we do with apprenticeship programs. It's a required piece for apprenticeships, and having someone to help walk them through and ensure that they're doing things the right way, but also telling them why, or having that conversation with them and helping them walk through, like, why do we do it this way instead of this way? Because it creates this, and we're, no accidents, and having a more safe workplace too. It's a good point, Bill. It's a really good point.
I also think of the value that I've learned as a mentor by having younger mentees who are fresher to the workforce or fresher to the industry, how refreshing their points of view are and how they help me learn and grow as their mentor, and how ever-changing world we live in, keeping a pulse on and keeping in touch with things helps us as mentors too, to help grow and shape and make the best work environments possible for the next generation of employees.
I love that. Because just like the data says too, like, it can have powerful impacts on those mentors as well. Because we talk a lot about fostering the growth of new employees, but it can also have a direct and almost equally or more higher benefit for those who are mentoring. Creates more of that leadership path for individuals, to teaches them how to work with individuals maybe who are younger, but also, I mean, and we'll kind of show you this later, but one of the trainings does include reverse mentoring, and how important that can be for a mentor to kind of learn from someone new to the company, or maybe somebody younger. It doesn't always have to be age related, but someone who's new to the company can give a new perspective and can really teach that mentor a lot as well. So it's a good point.
Giving that mentee an opportunity to really share their knowledge and experience, which is a great way to build loyalty with your current employees.
Yes, because that can create a lot of, if they take a little ownership of the company or feel like they are part of it, and they're, helping to improve the bottom line, or if they're giving ideas and those ideas are shared and valued, that can really help with that. Like you said, Bill, loyalty. And when they're loyal to the company, do they tend to leave? Not typically. When they're loyal and they're satisfied with the work that they do, they want to stay. And that's a good point, and one of the reasons why this can be so powerful for businesses. But Also, another thing I think about is like training costs too, and training costs that companies incur when somebody new starts, or when they have, somebody new coming on, they're really sourcing experts from within the company to help foster that, and helping to kind of alleviate some of those costs when individuals in the company are helping to train new people or helping to mentor those. And also can be a really great recruitment opportunity. I feel like those who maybe have been a part of a workplace mentoring program or had mentoring within their workplace, they're gonna feel more satisfied. And then one of the best recruitment tools we've heard businesses talk about is word of mouth. When people like their jobs and they like their company, they tell others about it. And that can really be a great recruitment tool also.
It's a great reminder too, as a current employee, if you're the mentee and you're training someone and you're going over some information that maybe you didn't remember, or that it was a little more cloudy in your mind, it gives you a refresher too, brings it back to your mind, gets you up to date.
Yeah, exactly. Ashley, if you go back to the last slide, I think we can talk about some points for that. We've talked a little bit about this formal mentoring and why it's important. Really, it's important because it's important to your employees. Like we said, they want to feel valued and cared for, and that really goes beyond just a competitive salary. And I think, when working with businesses, we've heard a lot about sign-on bonuses and retention bonuses and trying to get people to stay. So simply just increasing maybe your starting wage or having bonuses, sometimes it isn't always enough. We've heard that from businesses that they're still struggling with hiring people. And, this could be an opportunity that could be no cost to a business to develop or implement a mentoring program that can really help with that retention of employees that goes beyond just salary. And this can be a really great benefit or a bonus to employees or companies that develop something like this, can really help with that development of those individuals that are working for you. There was a recent study that found that employees are more productive and they perform at a higher rate when their professional development needs are fulfilled. So that's really important. So if they feel like those needs are met, they tend to stay and they're more productive, which also helps with the bottom line and probably, retention of employees as well. And recent studies have shown that 79%, this stat might have changed, but almost 80% of millennials see mentoring as crucial to their career success. And given that by, here soon, millennials are going to make up a large chunk of our workforce, that should really be something that companies consider and should be a priority to figure out a way to incorporate something like this or some sort of professional development for individuals and employees within their company, because they want it and they look for that. And if your company has something like this could set you apart from other places that they're applying if they know that they could participate in a mentoring program. So don't be nervous though, because we have tools for you to be able to help you to do this. This is why we created the toolkit, because we knew that companies and businesses didn't know where to start, or they were looking for resources on how do we incorporate or how do we develop, what do we do when it comes to having a workplace mentoring program. And we created this toolkit to offer some resources. It's just kind of a grab and go and use, whatever resources you feel like are valuable to your program, and how you can create that training. The toolkit also includes a training for participants in the program. So there's a training for maybe facilitators or the company itself. There's also training for mentors in the program and mentees in the program. And really, Bill or anybody else might throw this to you, why would training somebody on a mentoring program be important or be valuable?
I think just so that you're not throwing someone into the ring and they're not, like, you want to make sure that your mentor that you've assigned to a mentee, or the mentee that you've assigned to the mentor that you've assigned to the mentee, that they're comfortable before you set them up with someone, because you want that whole relationship to develop, not be off-putting, for either one of your employees.
Yeah, training, exactly.
Yeah, and training your mentors also helps the company provide some crucial information about company culture that could then be passed on from mentor to mentee to maintain the level of expectation and standard of working.
Because really, what is that relationship supposed to look like? They might not know, and maybe as a company, set some guidelines or some, how it's going to work, but really training them on like what does this mean and how is this relationship really important, that helps them to be more invested in it. Because if they know that this how important this relationship could be for them and for their mentee, they're probably going to be more invested in it. So that's why our toolkit has these trainings available, and the trainings could be hosted on site at your location. There's a facilitator's guide for each of the modules. There's 4 modules that are available, and you could train them on site if you have a large group starting, if you're just starting out your mentoring program, or if you just have 1 or 2, there's an online training that they could take right in the toolkit. There's no cost to it and no login, so they could just go and take the training so that they can feel at least knowledgeable enough about their relationship to get that started. So the other things that are available in our toolkit include some sample policies, that if you wanted to create a policy related to your mentoring program or setting some of those guidelines or parameters that Adrienne was talking about. There's a screening resource for selection of your mentees and mentors. There's recruitment resources. How do you match somebody together? What does that look like when you want to match individuals together? Evaluations of the program. How do you improve it next year? Well, let's ask those who participated in it. Let's have them evaluate it so we can work on improving it next year. Interview forms and how do you, when you go through and maybe interview somebody to participate in the program, what does that look like? And gives you some samples and even some applications for participation in a workplace mentoring program, if that's how you design the program. So that's kind of what our toolkit looks like. We will show it to you. We did want to talk through some ideas or some best practices that can really, make your program stick or can make it more appealing to others. And here's some of those things that we put together. And while not everything is a contest, and this team here would attest to this too, but competition can be kind of fun. And when you add in some maybe fun or creative incentives for participation in the program through a little healthy competition, that can be a great way to increase participation and engagement, making it more fun. Incentives could be provided in lots of different ways. If you have a budget for something like this, you could give them extra time off or an increase in pay or some sort of bonus, or have a potluck with food. Food always works for me. I mean, give me some food and I would do a lot. So there's lots of different ways you can do that with a cost or no cost. And, this is an opportunity to just be creative, have a committee that maybe wants to be involved in the mentoring program, giving out prizes for maybe participation in their weekly meetings or however long they're meeting together, or giving gift cards or some extra time off, things like that. Could be some creative ways to offer some incentives or some competition and to get people engaged and having fun with it. Another important piece is, setting goals. Also, if you want to develop a mentoring program, maybe setting some goals for it. And what do you want that to look like? Do you want them to have a certain number of sessions together? Do you want them to bring a certain amount? Do you want them to have a time limit, or like at least a time goal on how long they're going to be talking together? Is it going to be at work or outside of work? How's that going to look? Maybe having the mentees provide information to leadership or have a presentation on the things that they learned from their mentor, things like that. Having some sort of goals in mind as to what you want this to look like and kind of what you want to see from it could be really valuable. Then another really best practice is, we talked about engaging people or getting them excited and participating in it, but getting the all-around buy-in for the program. So having mentors, maybe new employees or mentees apply. We talked about this a little bit, selecting them, but having them apply to be a part of the program is one of those things that could be really beneficial, because really what this does is it creates ownership and buy-in right from the get-go, because they are choosing to participate in the program. They hear you have a mentoring program at the workplace and they want to be a part of it. So they fill out an application, maybe do an interview, however you want to do it, but they want to be a part of it and they're actively asking to be a part of it. And that can really do a lot for buy-in and that engagement and participation if you just have people tell you they want to be a part of it. Same thing for the mentors. If you want to be a mentor in the mentoring program here, you got to apply and be accepted into it however you want to do it. But that also creates some buy-in from the mentors, because if you volunteer somebody or you tell them they're going to mentor an individual, that might not have as much of a positive impact or ownership or buy-in as it would if you ask them to participate in it freely. So that can be a really important part, is to have them fill out an application and they are the ones that are choosing to participate in something that they feel will benefit them or will lead to more development for them. Talking about incentives, healthy competitions, we talked about that. But also the importance of leadership buy-in. I think this is something that is a good piece to hit on, because we've talked a lot about employee and mentee perspectives, but it's also important that companies looking to implement something like this have buy-in from leadership. And this would go beyond just having leadership approve the program or write the policies or those other pieces that are required to have a program, but rather having leadership actively participate in the program as well. After all, Adrian talked about this, there's no shortage of learning regardless of your title or your place in the organization. So having leadership actively participate in the program can have some really powerful impacts, because when employees see their leaders participating in something like this, they're more likely to follow suit and believe in the impacts that it can have on them. And so that's something that is really important, and something that if you start something like this, at least having leadership be supportive of it. But if leadership could participate, I think that would say a lot for the company and the employees that participate in the mentoring program. And then just to kind of re-talk about what we've already talked about in here. We talked about the benefits. Mentoring can have a lot of benefits for the company, every individual participating, the new employee or the mentee, the mentor themselves, the company can see benefits as well. It's important to get buy-in from leadership to entry-level employees, get everybody excited about it. That's when you can see the culture change and shift, is when people are excited and engaged in something like this. Engaging people in a specific way, getting people excited, maybe setting goals and being creative with it, offering incentives or competitions can be a really fun way to jazz up your mentoring program. And also using our toolkit. There's no cost to the business. There's lots of tools on there, and there's an online training for mentors and mentees, and also the company looking to build the program. So I think that thank you, Ashley. Ashley's going to pull it up. If you didn't know, all things apprenticeship, it goes to starttodaysd.com. That's where you can find all things on South Dakota apprenticeship programs. But within this web page, we do have the mentoring toolkit under our resources, which is our mentorship training toolkit. And within that toolkit, you will find here, it kind of explains what the mentoring toolkit is, the mentorship lessons that are available. And right here in the homepage is your training that we talked about. This is the online accessible training that individuals can go through, including all of the modules, and it's broken out based on the individual's role within the mentoring program, whether that's the mentee, the mentor, the employers who are looking to develop a program, and even those who might be facilitating or hosting the training on site. If that is something you do and you have somebody leading that, it's good for them to go through all of those lessons to kind of learn the training themselves, so they can facilitate that training for individuals who are participating in the program. But there's 4 modules total. And the mentees and mentors all take lessons or modules. 1, 3, it's not 2, 1, 3, and 4. So they take modules that include topics of cultivating a strong mentoring culture. Some of the things we talked about today, there's some really great information in there about the impacts of culture and what that can do for individuals or a company. And then career leadership development is another module that they learn, and also reverse mentoring. And we talked about that, how impactful that can be for an individual who is mentoring, how they can have equal or more benefits as the mentee that they are mentoring. So this is what it looks like. And also down at the bottom of that page, there's a link to the resource hub where you can find those resources and the screening tools and the interview forms and the sample policies like we talked about. That's where you would find all of those if you're looking for some help in establishing and developing your program. So there it is. And I think that concludes the information we wanted to share with all of you about workplace mentoring and what it is, what are some of the benefits, why it could be good for your company to consider developing an apprentice, or develop an apprenticeship too. You can reach out to our team also. But if you want to look at workplace mentoring for your whole company, I think we've talked to a few businesses that have developed apprenticeship programs and the value of having even this for everyone in their company aside from an apprenticeship training, because this can be something that a lot of people find value in and can lead to some positive impacts for everyone, the company included. So if you have questions, here's our information and QR codes to connect with us on social media or our website, and our email to be able to reach out to our team with any questions on workplace mentoring, our toolkit, or even apprenticeships in general.